The last and final most event during sexual reproduction is post-fertilization event. The definition for post-fertilization events. An event can take place in an organism after fertilization is called as post-fertilization events. There are two post-fertilization events. The first post-fertilization event is zygote formation. The second post-fertilization event is embryo development or embryogenesis. Let's we discuss the first type of post-fertilization event is zygote formation. During fertilization, when an haploid male gamete physically contact with haploid female gamete by the process of fertilization to form diploid zygote, the diploid zygote is single celled. This zygote, it is act as vital link from one generation to another generation. So, from zygote, a new organism is produced from the parents. So, zygote is a vital link from parents to next offsprings. So, zygote is a vital link from one generation to another generation. Zygote is diploid having single cell but two sets of chromosomes. So, the division of this zygote, it depends on two different factors. One is type of life cycle of an organism. The division of zygote, it depends on the first character or factor is type of life cycle of an organism. And the second factor or character for the division of zygote is environment to which it is exposed. These are the two characters can decide the zygote division. Let's we discuss type of life cycle of an organism for the division of zygote. For example, if an organism having haplontic life cycle, example algae and fungi. In algae and fungi, the life cycle is haplontic life cycle, the bodies are haploid. Then the haploid male gamete physically contact with haploid female gamete to form a diploid zygote. These diploid zygote during unfavorable conditions, this zygote, it is surrounded by a thick wall, then the zygote is going to resting period and protecting from the damage and desiccation, loss of water. Protecting from the damage and desiccation in the primitive group of plants like algae and fungi, if in case having haplontic life cycle, the zygote, it is surrounded by thick wall, is called as zygospore. It's going to resting period during unfavorable condition. Region is during unfavorable condition, protecting from the damage and from desiccation, the zygote is going to resting period surrounded by thick wall. When favorable conditions come back, the zygote undergoes meiotic division and it produces haploid spores, and each haploid spore can develop into haploid body. This is a method of division of zygote if an organism having haplontic life cycle. Example, algae and fungi having haplontic life cycle, the zygote undergoes meiotic division, produces haploid spore. Each spore can develop into new algae and new fungi for continuation of haplontic life cycle. And come back, if an organism having diplontic life cycle, example gymnosperms, and angiosperms. In gymnosperms and angiosperms, the life cycle is a diplontic life cycle. When the haploid male gamete physically contact with the haploid female gamete, then it produces a diploid zygote. The zygote not undergoes meiosis, it is undergoes mitosis then it produces diploid embryo. The diploid embryo can develop into a diploid organism. If an organism having a diplontic life cycle, the zygote not undergoes meiosis, it is undergoes mitosis. This is a process of division of zygote if an organism having diplontic life cycle. If an organism having haplontic life cycle, zygote undergoes meiotic cell division. If an organism having diplontic life cycle, the zygote undergoes mitosis, not meiosis. If an organisms are having haplodiplontic life cycle, example, pteridophytes. Pteridophytes are the best example, and bryophytes also is best example. And organisms are having haplodiplontic life cycle when a haploid male gamete crosses with haploid female gamete by the process of fertilization to form a diploid zygote. Now this diploid zygote not undergoes meiosis, it is undergoes mitosis, then it produces diploid sporophyte. The diploid sporophyte having diploid spore mother cell or SMC. Now the spore mother cells are undergoes meiosis, then it produces haploid spores. Those haploid spores can germinate to produce as haploid body. This is a method of division of zygote if an organisms are having haplodiplontic life cycle. Once again I repeat, post fertilization events. An events can take place in an organism after fertilization is called as post fertilization events. There are two post fertilization events. One is zygote formation, another one is embryo development. The first one is zygote formation. When haploid male gamete contact with haploid female gamete by the process of fertilization to form diploid zygote. Zygote is having single cell. It is a vital link from one generation to another generation. The division of zygote, it depends on two characters or factors. One is the type of life cycle of an organism, another one is environment to which it is exposed. If an organism having haplontic life cycle, example algae and fungi, the zygote undergoes resting period and it is undergoes meiosis to form haploid spores. Each haploid spore can develop into haploid algae and fungi. If an organism having diplontic life cycle, the zygote is not undergoes meiosis, it undergoes mitosis to form diploid embryo and it's from diploid organism. If an organism having haplontic life cycle, haplodiplontic life cycle, example some bryophytes and pteridophytes, the zygote undergoes mitosis to form diploid sporophyte. Diploid sporophyte having diploid spore mother cell. Those spore mother cell undergoes meiosis to produces haploid spores. These haploid spores can germinate into new body. During post fertilization events, the second post fertilization event is embryogenesis or embryo development. What is embryogenesis or what is embryo development? What are the events can take place during embryo development or embryogenesis? When an haploid male gamete physically contact with haploid female gametes by the process of fertilization to form diploid zygote. Zygote is a single cell, but it's diploid having two sets of chromosome. It's a vital link between from one generation to another generation. When a zygote single cell undergoes mitotic cell division, repeated mitotic cell division, and due to cell division a mass of tissue is formed. This tissue is differentiated for particular function, then it's formed a diploid embryo. Once again, what is embryogenesis? I will discuss now. The process of formation of diploid embryo from diploid zygote due to cell division and cell differentiation is called as embryogenesis or embryo development. The embryo development or the zygote development can take place outside the female parent body or the inside the female parent body. Because of this characteristic feature, animals is of two types. One is oviparous animals and the second one is viviparous animals. Once again I repeat, based on which characteristic feature animals classified into two types, I will discuss now. The zygote development, zygote is formed in the female parent body. The zygote development can take place inside the female parent body or outside the female parent body. Because of this characteristic feature, animals is of two types, oviparous animals and viviparous animals. Now I will discuss what is oviparous animals. The zygote development can take place outside the female parent body. Once again, the zygote development can take place outside the female parent body is called as oviparous animals. The best example for oviparous animals, birds and reptiles. These oviparous animals are egg-laying animals. Egg-laying animals is also called as oviparous animals, example birds and reptiles. So these animals, either birds or maybe reptiles, they are laying their eggs in the safe place in environment. Reason is, whenever they are laying the eggs in the safe environment, they want to protecting from predators, vulnerable to predators. These eggs, it is surrounded by a protective coat is called as calcareous shell or calcium component shells. It's giving proper protection to growing or dividing or developing zygote. When these eggs are incubated some period in the safe environment, later it is hatches and young ones are come outside of the egg. These are the characteristic features of oviparous animals. Let's come to viviparous animals. Viviparous animals means the zygote development can take place inside the female parent body is called as viviparous animals. Example, most of the mammals, one of the example, humans. In humans, when a male gamete crosses with female gamete in ampulla isthmus junction region to form diploid zygote, the development of zygote in humans can take place inside the female parent body. Humans are the best examples of viviparous animals. Whenever the proper zygote can take place inside the female parent body, there is a proper nutrition to young ones and there is a proper embryonic care and there is a proper development. At last, fully developed baby come outside of the female parent body by the process of parturition. This is development of zygote in animals. Post-fertilization events in plants. Generally, in plants, one of the modified stem is also called as main reproductive unit in angiosperms is called as flower. Flower is the modified stem. It is the main reproductive unit in angiosperm. The stalk of the flower is called as a pedicel. The top of the pedicel having flattened structure is called thalamus. On the thalamus, 4 modified floral leaves are present such as calyx, corolla, androecium or stamens, gynoecium. These are the male sex organs and these are the female sex organs. So, when fertilization can take place, haploid male gamete with haploid female gamete inside the parent body or internal fertilization. After fertilization, that means post fertilization, the calyx will fall down, corolla also will fall down and the stamens also will fall down. and ovary can develops into fruit, ovule can develops into seed. But in the plants of, especially in Solanaceae family members, in the family of Solanaceae such as tomato, Lycopersicon esculentus is the scientific name for tomato, and brinjal, Solanum Solanum melangina. Solanum melangina is the scientific name for brinjal. Lycopersicon esculentus is the scientific name for tomato. These two plants are belonging to Solanaceae family. In Solanaceae family, after fertilization or after post fertilization, the calyx will not fall down, still it is attached to fruits. Such kind of calyx is called as persistent calyx. Persistent calyx is the characteristic features of Solanaceae family members, example tomato and brinjal. If you see the structure of tomato and structure of fruit of brinjal, there is green color structures are present in the top of the fruit, that is nothing but calyx. Generally after fertilization, calyx will fall down, but in the family members of Solanaceae, even after formation of fruit, still the calyx is attached to fruit. Such kind of calyx is called as persistent calyx. That is one characteristic feature post fertilization event in plants. During post fertilization, when the ovary, for example, this is the carpel, the units of gynoecium, the units of gynoecium is called as carpel. Each carpel having three parts: stigma, style, ovary. During fertilization, the ovary can develops into, after fertilization, ovary can develops into fruit. Like this. And the ovules can develops into seeds. Ovules can develops into seeds. During fertilization, ovary can develops into fruit. Ovule can develops into seed. The ovary wall can develops into fruit wall, is also called as pericarp. It is act as protection. This is an information about post fertilization events in plants.